Hi everyone, happy Cancer season. So with that solar eclipse and solstice, we are now in Cancer season. So I'm going to make a quick video on the esoteric doctrines that are secretly behind Cancer, the sign, through the lens of the tarot. So if you're not a Cancer, it's okay because we all share in these archetypes that are connected to Cancer. If you are a Cancer, this may even be more fun. But I'm talking about the specific esoteric understandings of Cancer as an archetype expressed through its corresponding tarot card, the Chariot. Okay, so this is the Chariot, which is connected. All signs have a corresponding tarot card. This is the Lord of the Triumph of Light, and also the Child of the Powers of the Waters. I believe those are the esoteric titles. And I want to first start with the idea of light, which might actually take a while. So first thing to notice is Cancer is the nadir of the zodiac. It's the lowest sign on the wheel. Okay, so it's kind of if you're looking at the Cancer's house as the fourth house, which actually exists in the midnight of the horizon, like that's like directly under us, like the underworld. And that house is where we develop our shadow and our hero through childhood and through younger family life. So lots of beautiful stuff there, lots of terrifying stuff there. It gets dark there. I mean, if you think the crab, Cancer's the crab, it's dark in that shell. Now, as Lord of the Triumph of Light, the Chariot is all about also revealing things in that darkness. And with that light reveals separate things. In darkness, everything is void. You don't know separation. Everything is right black. But in light, that's when we start to see division of things through our mind. And that actually comes from the Lovers. So the card before this is the Lovers, which is the agent of creation through division. It is the sword, it is the fiery sword that is defending Eden after the fall, after we've separated from unity, right? So after that, we're in the Chariot and we get to choose what will we do with this painful separation that is creation itself, right? And the answer that the Chariot has is adapthood. To become an adept, we come to terms with our separation and we start to fucking work it. That's what the Chariot's about. Because the Chariot is all about the shell that must align itself with the inner part of us. The shell of the crab must align itself with the inner side to work well. And that is symbolized by, different decks symbolize it in different ways. In the Thoth deck, it's symbolized by these four sphinxes, which is a symbol of 16 different manifestations of this personality, of this true self. It's four sphinxes of the four cherubic beasts. It goes into the Bible and a bunch of other stuff. But pretty much what you need to know for right now is that the Chariot is an emanation of the higher self or the soul through the personality, okay? So, Paul Foster Case attributes this card to something called the House of Influence, which is, you can imagine the personality in the self as a receptacle of all of the divine workings above that we can't necessarily see, that flow through us and enact through us. So we know that as above, so below. It's all through the tarot, all through the Western Hermetic tradition. In the Chariot, it is expressing as above, so below, specifically through the passage of the element of water in the Tree of Life. So what that means is that spirit is coming through us through receptivity, through receiving it, and through how we create form around that spiritual message or that spiritual intention, right? Water is all about form. It's a receptive element in Kabbalah and in this practice. So, to further that idea, let's look at the Hebrew letter attributed to the Chariot, and that letter is Ket, or Chet. Not quite sure of the pronunciation, excuse me. But that letter means fence or field. And what does a fence do but delineate an area, right? It sets a boundary, like the shell of the crab of Cancer. And in that boundary, you can create things, you can raise livestock, you can play, you can do whatever. It creates a safe space for things to happen, which is what the personality does for our souls, okay? So Aleister Crowley, my boy, created this unique word. So there's different words and spells, right? Like Iao is a big one, and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, one of the names of God I work with a lot. His word, his formula is abrahadabra, Okay, and abrahadabra is a five vowel, 6 consonant word of his new aeon. So abrahadabra is pretty much a symbol of uniting the microcosm, which is us, with the macrocosm, which is our higher self, our true self, or even in some ways the source of the universe. And abrahadabra does that by using the vowels, which is 5 of them, and then 6 consonants. 6 is the symbol of the higher self. It's our holy guardian angel. It's the 6th sphere of the tree of life, Tiferet, where our higher self is hanging out. Also hanging out with, Jesus, Buddha, all the other ascended masters. And then our lower self, which is the 5 elements, which is air, fire, water, earth, and spirit. If you think 5 elements, we have head and then 4 limbs, symbol of mankind, humankind. Uniting those two. So that's what abrahadabra does. And you'll actually see abrahadabra, well, it's written as abracadabra on the top of the card, but it's written as abracadabra because of Ket. Ket is a letter that we were just talking about, and they replace the H with a C here to attribute it. And also just, I don't know, sometimes, occultists like to hide things. Okay. So what else do we have here with Cancer? So Cancer is ruled by the moon. So moon is our emotions, our feelings, our impressions, our psychic ability, and our inner world. Some people associate the moon with the personality as well. So if you do that, that totally makes sense because we're talking about the personality as a reflection of the higher self and the soul. And Jupiter is exalted. So here in the middle of the chariot, we have the Holy Grail. Is it the Holy Grail? Yes, to some people. Holy Grail as a symbol of the received spirit from above into the microcosm below through the path of water. Remember, I don't know if we were talking about in this video, but the chariot is through the path of water, through reception, we receive spirit. So that's the Holy Grail. It's feminine, right? It's also a symbol of the moon, and there's connections to, I think it's turquoise in the middle here, which is connected to Jupiter, which rules Cancer. But that's like really going in. On the top, we have this blue canopy, which is a symbol of Nuit, which is Aleister Crowley's goddess of space, goddess of passive, feminine goddess of infinite space, infinite potentiality. And also a symbol of Binah, which on the Tree of Life is the Sephira of form. So wherever God takes form, following force, which is number 2. Now, the path, let's talk about the path. The path of the chariot is from number 3, form, to number 5, severity. So it's on the feminine side of the Tree of Life, and the feminine side of the Tree of Life is all about form and how form manifests and how things are received. And below number 3 is 5, which is severity, which is symbolized by these churning wheels. So these wheels here, these fiery wheels, are connected to Mars, which is number 5, as it receives the energy from number 3, which is form above. And those fiery wheels of number 5, which is Gevurah, which is strength, not always easy. Those are the challenges in life. So how does the idea of a manifest personality from spirit connect with challenges? Well, isn't challenges a personality-defying thing? I mean, I always say, you gotta send a gift basket to your enemies because they define your justice, right? So that's kind of part of the game. The chariot, chariots were used in war, and then in Rome more for racing. So it's competitive, It's there's a lot of heat there. It's that Mars activation here. So it's the Mars activation of the personality that gets it going. What do you not agree with? What do you agree with? What will you fight against? What will you defend? What shell will you defend in your life, right? Cancer, mother of the zodiac, the personality. That brings me to, there's so many more things in this card, but I want to get to the main point for practice, and that is, in my understanding of this card and how I practice it, because all the cards are active all the time, if you didn't know that in the tarot. They're us, they're the universe. In my practice, I look at this card, and I always find this card asks me, does this agree with you? Does it agree with you? You could ask that question for anything. And the trick here is, let's say, I don't know, you have an issue with your boss or a friend, or you're feeling some type of way. You ask, does it agree with me? And if it's a no, you don't continue that, whether it be a relationship or a pattern or a behavior or a thought, because you don't want to make the thought or the person or the thing or the object of the uncertainty or the object of the unease bad, because then you're still bonded to them. And you don't want to necessarily make them good, because then you're still bonded. They're completely neutral. It has nothing to do with them or the thing or the thought. It's all about, does it agree with you right now? Make a choice. And that's what the Chariot is all about, because when it doesn't agree with you, the wheels go in two different directions and you go nowhere. You can tear your soul apart that way. And this goes all the way back to the great Greek philosopher Plato. So Plato, in his writing of the Republic, had this symbolic chariot, which is a symbol of the different parts of the soul. And so we had a white horse, a black horse, and then the charioteer. The dark horse was appetite, which is our lower nature. Not bad, but our habitual nature. The lighter horse was our pride and was will, which was somewhat a little higher than the dark horse, but not necessarily better, just a little higher. And then the third part of the soul was reason, which was the charioteer. And if reason could bring those two horses together, the chariot can move forward and everything would be fine. So they had to be in agreement with each other to move. So my Cancers, I know everyone thinks Cancers are so emotional, and it's like, emotion is important because they're a water sign, but there is a lot more going on than just emotions. So the Chariot, ask yourself in the next month in the sign of Cancer, does this agree with me? Does this not agree with me? So let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to my continued exploration of consciousness with you guys through the tarot. Thank you.